In your
moving
career
forward.
of over 20 years, Captain Sequeira, have you seen anything like this? Have you seen a weather condition as bad as this one?
Thankfully, no. I have not been through cyclones. You see, the natural precedent for most mariners, whether they are warships or they are commercial ships, is to avoid cyclones. Over the
Right.
years, cyclone prediction has become very accurate. So by and large, with the warnings you get, most mariners stay well clear of cyclones. For us, of course, this was a different dimension. This was a mission where we had to go into the cyclone. And so for me and for most of my crew, this is probably the first time that we went into a cyclone and this close to the eye of the storm. There have been incidents in the past, but most ships have sort of always aimed to steer out, clear of the cyclone, protect themselves, including warships.
And here you were
This was
heading into the cyclone.
That's correct. Here, our directives were to go into the cyclone as close as possible to the eye. Essentially, the vessel in distress, this barge was unfortunately not in command and was just being tossed around and in a bad state, I believe, at that point.
And could you describe what you saw there? Did you get distress signals from the shipwreck survivors, from the barges that had sunk?
So we as we moved out, like I said, we got into the sea, and by about 2 o'clock that day, we had managed to communicate. We got a message relayed through one of their rigs that they were trying to communicate. We had established communication by about 2 o'clock or so that afternoon. We were still about 15 miles from him and trying to make good to reach him at the earliest. But like I said, because of the sea conditions, it wasn't possible to approach him directly. When we turned towards him, we had the worst sort of aspect of the storm. We had to take beam seas and winds, which kept keeping her on that course very difficult. So we did a sort of evasive course, port and starboard, to finally raise him at about 3:30. That's when we sighted him. They sighted us. We could make out that our presence was reassuring to them. Which I'm sure it was reassuring to us as well. It was rather difficult sight for us also to see that the barge had already seemed to have taken in water.
This is
Their bows were,
Papa 305.
that's correct, 305. Her bows were in. She was awash. There was a message that their crew were already, passengers were already mustered, kept ready on upper deck. But unfortunately, with the sea state being what it was and still waves breaking all over the place and winds that high, we couldn't have approached the barge in that condition. That would probably have been too risky a decision, far worse, because that would have damaged both him and me. And of course, in that sea state, you really can't lower boats, so you can't put men in water. We understand from their conversation that they had attempted that a little earlier that morning and their life rafts had all gone down. Uh, that really wasn't much of an option to us at that point. So they were asked to just hold on for a bit and we were hoping that the storm would abate. But by around 5:30 or so, we realized that it really wasn't much progress on that front. And we could make out that things were getting worse. So we closed him again and lowered our life rafts. That is the life rafts we carry on our ship. So we managed to lower about 14 of our life rafts from our decks in close proximity, hoping that in case the worst happened, people in water could have gotten to our life rafts. And then we would have picked them up from there. Being rubber, they have a flexibility, so they maintain in water. They don't get, of course, they get tossed down. It's violent, but it's better than having a rigid hull which goes down.